He grew up so poor in Brooklyn housing projects that his family couldn't afford a doctor when his father broke his ankle. At 29, he was selling coffee machines when he discovered a small Seattle coffee shop with 4 locations. He begged them to hire him for $75,000 annually. Today, Howard Schultz is worth $3.4 billion after building Starbucks into a company with 38,000 locations worldwide. This is how he transformed coffee from commodity into experience. Howard Schultz didn't come from privilege or connections. He was a Brooklyn kid from government-subsidized housing who watched his father struggle through degrading manual labor jobs with no healthcare or dignity. But Schultz had something poverty couldn't crush: ambition to escape his circumstances and vision to see potential where others saw nothing special. He took a tiny Seattle coffee roaster and transformed it into a global empire by understanding something profound. People don't just buy coffee, they buy the experience, the community, and the third place between home and work. That insight built $80 billion in value. Howard Schultz was born on July 19, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York. His family lived in the Bayview houses, a public housing project in the Canarsie neighborhood. His father Fred worked a series of blue-collar jobs: truck driver, factory worker, diaper service driver. His mother Elaine was a receptionist. The family struggled financially, living paycheck to paycheck. Howard's childhood was defined by economic anxiety. The family had no car, no health insurance, and no financial security. When Howard was 7 years old, his father broke his ankle while working. Without workers' compensation or health insurance, the family had no income during his father's recovery. They couldn't afford medical bills. Howard watched his father's humiliation, a grown man broken by a system that offered no dignity or protection to working-class people. This experience shaped Howard profoundly. He later said that seeing his father's shame and helplessness from losing his job due to injury made him determined to build a company that treated employees with dignity and provided benefits regardless of their position. Howard was athletic, playing football and baseball at Canarsie High School. Sports were his escape from poverty. He was a good student, not brilliant, but hardworking and determined. He earned a football scholarship to Northern Michigan University, a small school in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. He was the first person in his family to attend college. At Northern Michigan, Howard studied communications. He played football briefly but wasn't talented enough to continue. He worked part-time jobs to supplement his scholarship: waiting tables, bartending, selling blood plasma for extra money. He graduated in 1975 with a Bachelor of Science degree. After graduation, Schultz returned to New York uncertain about his future. He worked sales jobs, first for Xerox selling office equipment door to door. The job was brutal, constant rejection, long hours, low pay, but Schultz was good at sales. He understood persistence and resilience from growing up poor. After 3 years at Xerox, Schultz joined a Swedish housewares company called Hammarplast as a sales representative. Hammarplast made kitchen equipment, including drip coffee makers. Schultz's job was selling coffee machines to retailers across the United States. He was successful, earning approximately $75,000 annually by his late 20s. Good money in the early 1980s. In 1981, while working for Hammarplast, Schultz noticed something unusual in his sales data. A small Seattle coffee roaster called Starbucks Coffee Company was ordering more drip coffee makers than Macy's, a department store chain. Starbucks had only 4 locations, a tiny operation, yet they were buying massive quantities of coffee equipment. Schultz was curious. In 1981, Schultz flew to Seattle to visit Starbucks. The company had been founded in 1971 by 3 partners: Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Gordon Boker, who sold high-quality roasted coffee beans and equipment. They had 4 locations in Seattle. The stores didn't brew coffee, they just sold beans for customers to take home. Schultz walked into the original Starbucks location at Pike Place Market and was captivated. The store smelled incredible. Fresh roasted coffee beans filled the air. The employees were passionate and knowledgeable about coffee. The quality was exceptional. Schultz had never experienced anything like it. Coffee in America was typically Folgers or Maxwell House, cheap, low-quality commodity products. Starbucks offered artisanal, carefully sourced, freshly roasted beans. It was a completely different category. Schultz returned to New York but couldn't stop thinking about Starbucks. He saw enormous potential. If people loved quality coffee this much in Seattle, why not expand nationally? Starbucks could become the dominant specialty coffee brand in America. For a year, Schultz persistently contacted the Starbucks founders, trying to convince them to hire him. They initially refused. They didn't want to expand beyond Seattle, and Schultz had no coffee industry experience. But Schultz's persistence wore them down. In 1982, Starbucks hired Howard Schultz as Director of Retail Operations and Marketing at $75,000 annually, the same salary he'd been making at Hammarplast. Schultz moved to Seattle and threw himself into understanding Starbucks. He learned about coffee sourcing, roasting, and retail operations. He loved the company's focus on quality and customer education. But Schultz believed Starbucks was missing a huge opportunity. In 1983, Starbucks sent Schultz to Milan, Italy, for an international housewares show. While walking through Milan, Schultz noticed something that would change his life: Italian espresso bars. These weren't just places to buy coffee, they were community gathering spots where people socialized, met friends, and spent time. Baristas knew customers by name. The experience was about connection and community, not just caffeine. Schultz had an epiphany. America had no third place, a location between home and work where people could gather. Italian espresso bars served this function perfectly. If Starbucks could recreate that experience in America, serving espresso drinks in a welcoming environment, it could become enormous. Schultz returned to Seattle energized. He pitched the Starbucks founders on his vision: transform Starbucks from a coffee bean retailer into an espresso bar chain. Serve brewed coffee drinks like lattes and cappuccinos. Create a welcoming environment where people would want to spend time. Build a third place for communities. The founders rejected the idea. They were coffee roasters, not restaurateurs. Serving drinks would dilute their brand. They had no interest in expanding into espresso bars. They told Schultz to focus on selling beans, not changing the business model. Schultz was devastated but undeterred. If Starbucks wouldn't pursue his vision, he would do it himself. In 1985, Schultz left Starbucks to start his own espresso bar chain. He called it Il Giornale, Italian for the daily, honoring the Italian inspiration. Raising money was brutal. Schultz pitched 242 investors over the course of a year. He was rejected 217 times. Investors said Americans wouldn't pay premium prices for coffee. The espresso bar concept wouldn't work in the US. Schultz had no restaurant experience. The idea was too risky. Finally, Schultz raised $1.65 million from 47 investors, including local Seattle investors and some family friends. It wasn't enough money, but it was enough to start. In April 1986, Schultz opened the first Il Giornale location in Seattle. The store served espresso drinks, lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos, using Starbucks beans. The environment was designed to feel Italian with Italian music and Italian-style service. Il Giornale was successful from day one. Seattleites loved the concept. Schultz opened 2 more locations. Revenue grew rapidly. Within a year, Il Giornale had 3 profitable locations generating approximately $500,000 annually. In 1987, something unexpected happened. The original Starbucks founders decided to sell. Jerry Baldwin wanted to focus on Peet's Coffee, another company he'd purchased in Berkeley, California. The founders put Starbucks, by then 6 stores, up for sale for $3.8 million. Schultz desperately wanted to buy Starbucks. The brand name had much more recognition than Il Giornale. Owning Starbucks would give him the foundation to build his vision nationally. But Schultz didn't have $3.8 million. He had to raise it quickly before someone else bought the company. Schultz spent weeks frantically pitching investors. He needed $3.8 million plus additional capital to merge Il Giornale with Starbucks and expand. He projected needing approximately $4 to $5 million total. Many of his Il Giornale investors contributed more money. Schultz also secured investment from Bill Gates Sr., father of Microsoft founder Bill Gates, who invested $100,000. In August 1987, Schultz successfully raised $3.8 million and purchased Starbucks. He immediately merged Il Giornale's 3 locations with Starbucks' 6 stores, creating a 9-location company. Schultz renamed everything under the Starbucks brand. He became CEO of the combined company with 100 employees. Schultz's vision was now clear: transform Starbucks into a national chain of espresso bars offering high-quality coffee in a welcoming environment. Create the third place America lacked. treat employees exceptionally well with healthcare and stock options, ensuring they delivered excellent customer service. Expansion required capital. Schultz knew Starbucks needed to grow rapidly to establish market dominance before competitors copied the concept. From 1987 to 1992, Schultz raised multiple rounds of venture capital and private investment, bringing in approximately $50 million in total funding. Starbucks expanded aggressively. By 1989, the company had 46 stores. By 1991, 116 stores. Growth was exponential, but the company wasn't profitable yet. Schultz was investing every dollar into expansion, opening new stores, training employees, building infrastructure. Investors grew nervous. The company was losing money despite rapid growth. In 1992, Schultz made a crucial decision: take Starbucks public. The company had 165 stores, $93.2 million in annual revenue, but was still losing money operationally due to aggressive expansion. Many advisors said going public was premature. Profitable companies raised more money through IPOs. But Schultz believed going public would provide capital for continued expansion and validate the Starbucks concept nationally. On June 26, 1992, Starbucks held its initial public offering, IPO, at $17 per share. The company raised $25 million from the IPO. Schultz's personal stake was approximately 10% of the company, worth about $40 million at the IPO price. The IPO was transformative. Starbucks now had capital to expand nationally. Schultz accelerated growth dramatically. By 1993, Starbucks had 272 stores. By 1994, 425 stores. By 1996, over 1,000 stores. The expansion was relentless. Schultz's strategy focused on clustering stores in major metropolitan areas, saturating markets with Starbucks locations so they became ubiquitous. Critics said this would cannibalize sales. Schultz argued clustering built brand dominance and customer convenience. He was right. Even when Starbucks opened new stores near existing locations, total market sales increased because the brand became the default coffee choice. Starbucks also invested heavily in employee benefits and training. In 1988, Schultz implemented comprehensive healthcare coverage for all employees working 20 hours weekly, unprecedented for retail, restaurant workers. In 1991, Starbucks offered stock options, bean stock, to all employees, making even part-time baristas shareholders. These policies created exceptional employee loyalty and customer service. By 1996, Starbucks had 1,015 stores, $700 million in annual revenue, and was profitable. Schultz's net worth exceeded $100 million as Starbucks' stock price increased from the $17 IPO price to over $30 per share. Starbucks continued expanding internationally, opening stores in Japan, 1996, Singapore, 1996, and the Philippines, 1997. The international expansion proved the Starbucks concept worked globally. The third-place experience resonated across cultures. By 2000, Starbucks had over 3,500 locations worldwide and $2.2 billion in annual revenue. Schultz had built a global empire from a 9-store Seattle chain in just 13 years. His personal net worth exceeded $500 million as Starbucks stock climbed to over $40 per share. Starbucks faced increasing criticism as it grew. Independent coffee shops accused Starbucks of destroying local coffee culture. Anti-globalization protesters vandalized Starbucks stores. Some customers complained the rapid expansion had diluted quality and the company felt too corporate. In 2000, Schultz stepped down as CEO, becoming chairman. He wanted to focus on strategy and brand rather than daily operations. Schultz promoted Orrin Smith, Starbucks Q, to CEO. Schultz remained heavily involved but let Smith run operations. From 2000 to 2007, under Smith and then Jim Donald, who became CEO in 2005, Starbucks continued expanding aggressively. By 2007, Starbucks had over 15,000 stores worldwide and $9.4 billion in annual revenue. But cracks were showing. Customer satisfaction declined. Same-store sales growth slowed. The company was opening stores too quickly without maintaining quality. Competitors like Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's were offering cheaper coffee alternatives. In January 2008, Schultz returned as CEO. He wrote a memo to employees calling Starbucks' situation dire and requiring dramatic transformation. Schultz closed 900 underperforming stores, the first mass closures in company history. He retrained baristas on coffee quality. He refocused on the customer experience. He slowed new store openings to focus on existing locations. The changes worked. By 2010, Starbucks was growing again. Customer satisfaction improved. Same-store sales increased. The company's stock price recovered from $8 per share during the 2008 financial crisis to over $25 by 2011. Schultz continued as CEO from 2008 to 2017, building Starbucks into the dominant global coffee brand. Under his second tenure as CEO, Starbucks expanded to over 28,000 locations worldwide. Annual revenue grew from $9.4 billion, 2007, to $22.4 billion, 2017. Schultz focused on innovation during this period. Starbucks introduced mobile ordering and payment, allowing customers to order ahead via smartphone app. This created massive convenience and increased sales. By 2017, mobile orders represented 30% of U.S. transactions. Starbucks also expanded into premium products, opening Starbucks Reserve Roasteries, massive upscale locations focusing on rare coffee experiences and artisanal preparation. The first Reserve Roastery opened in Seattle in 2014, followed by locations in Shanghai, Milan, New York, Tokyo, and Chicago. In 2017, Schultz stepped down as CEO for a second time, transitioning to executive chairman. Kevin Johnson, Starbucks' coup, became CEO. Schultz planned to focus on Starbucks' premium Reserve brand. In 2018, Schultz retired from Starbucks entirely to explore a potential presidential campaign. He briefly considered running for president in 2020 as an independent centrist, but ultimately decided against it. Today, Starbucks operates over 38,000 locations in 80 countries, employs over 400,000 people, and generates approximately $36 billion in annual revenue, 2024. The company's market capitalization exceeds $100 billion. Howard Schultz's personal net worth is $3.4 billion, Forbes 2024, derived primarily from his Starbucks stock holdings. He owns approximately 1.9% of Starbucks, worth about $1.9 billion, plus investments and other assets totaling approximately $1.5 billion. Howard Schultz's success came from three insights that transformed retail and coffee. First, understanding that experience matters more than product. Starbucks didn't sell better coffee than competitors. It sold a better experience. The comfortable environment, friendly baristas, and third-place concept created value beyond the beverage. Second, treating employees exceptionally creates exceptional customer service. Schultz's decision to provide healthcare and stock options to part-time employees was revolutionary for retail. It created loyalty, reduced turnover, and ensured consistent service quality. Third, aggressive expansion establishes market dominance before competitors can respond. Schultz opened thousands of stores rapidly, saturating markets and making Starbucks synonymous with coffee. By the time competitors recognized the opportunity, Starbucks already controlled the category. But Schultz's legacy extends beyond business success. He demonstrated that companies can be profitable while treating workers well. Starbucks provided healthcare and stock options when competitors paid minimum wage with no benefits. This proved treating employees well isn't charity, it's good business creating better service and profitability. Schultz also inspired thousands of entrepreneurs to see opportunity in elevating everyday products. Before Starbucks, coffee was a commodity. Schultz transformed it into an experience worth premium prices. This model applies to countless industries, from burgers, Shake Shack, Five Guys, to mattresses, Casper, to razors, Harry's. Howard Schultz grew up in Brooklyn public housing, so poor his family couldn't afford healthcare when his father broke his ankle. He watched his father's humiliation from losing work due to injury. He attended college on a football scholarship, worked at Xerox, sold coffee machines, and discovered a small Seattle coffee shop with 4 locations. He begged them to hire him for $75,000. When they rejected his vision to transform coffee into an experience business, he quit and started his own company. He was rejected by 217 investors before raising $1.65 million. He bought Starbucks for $3.8 million in 1987 when it had 9 stores. 37 years later, Starbucks operates 38,000 locations in 80 countries, generates $36 billion annually, and is worth over $100 billion. Schultz is worth $3.4 billion and gave healthcare and stock options to hundreds of thousands of retail workers when no one else would. The Brooklyn kid from public housing built the world's largest coffee company by understanding something profound. People don't buy coffee. They buy the experience, the community, and the third place between home and work. That insight, and the courage to act on it despite rejection, transformed commodity into experience and poverty into billions.